you can see here I've done one little satin stitch, and this is a triangle. So basically what you use satin stitch is to fill in or create like a solid shape with thread. So I always say that it's similar to coloring but with thread. And the reason why it's called satin, and I'll put a picture in here of what satin looks like, is you're supposed to create a nice smooth, beautiful, like silky texture with your stitches. So they should not be all clumped up. They should be nice and smooth when you do it. So this is my triangle I did, and I'll show you how to do the rectangle and maybe the circle. So what you want to do is you want to try and trace or draw out whatever shape you want to do. On felt, that can be very difficult, so you could also outline it with thread first and then color it in with the thread. What you want to make sure you're doing is on felt, you'll probably get a really thick line. So I would draw it smaller so that when you're stitching, you can stitch on the outside of the line and hide it with your stitching. And I'll show you, because I kind of drew the circle really thick, so I'll show you what I mean there. So let's start with the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from the wrong side of my fabric, and it might take a few times to get where you want to be. So I'm now coming up through the wrong side, and you can see I didn't go on, let's see if we can use this pointer. I didn't go on this side of the line, I went on the outside of the line. So that way my stitches will cover up that line. So I'm going to bring my needle through. Oops, see, that happens sometimes. That's going to be okay. So when you're sewing, sometimes you'll unthread your needles. So I have my thread coming up from the back side, and now we need to bring it down to the back side again. So what I like to do is whatever shape I'm doing, I'll kind of divide in half, and that will be kind of a nice vertical line that I can try and follow from either side. So I'm just going to put my thread. I'm going to try and get it like that. Okay, so now I have one line. So now when I come back up, I'm actually going to come from the top, and I want to come right next to that first stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to go right back down next to the second stitch, or the other end of the first stitch, like that. Okay, so you can see it's made a solid line. So your goal is to get your stitches very close together, so you're creating that nice solid shape. So I feel like there's too much space. You can sort of see the fabric in between my last two stitches. So I'm just going to go back and come up right here. And I'm just going to pull it through. So you can see it's starting to get that nice smooth look. And I'm just going to keep going. Now that I've finished my satin stitch, I'm just going to tie a knot. So just like the other times, you're going to come in from the back side like this, and you're going to pull it until you have a little loop. Okay, so now that I have that loop, I'm going to put my needle through the loop again and pull it tight. Okay, and then I'm going to trim my thread. You can see when I'm looking for it and marking it, I'm looking that they're smooth, that it's like nice and neat, that your threads are kind of going like this one, so you can really see they're all going the same direction. They're not crisscrossing. It's a little harder for you to see the blue one because it's so dark, but it's also doing the same thing. Okay, so that is satin stitch.